The one Iranian campaign that military analysts warn could seriously undermine, and potentially collapse, US power projection in the Middle East is Operation Nasr, a sustained, multi-phase strike plan designed to cripple American command hubs, air bases, and critical infrastructure across the region. The storm no one saw coming is Phase 2 of Operation Nasr, a brutal new wave of missile and drone attacks that unleashes hell on US positions by zeroing in on radar, command centers, and high-value aircraft with far greater precision than before. They struck first, but now Iran's Operation Nasr is attempting to deliver the final blow, turning what began as retaliation into a calculated campaign aimed at grinding down US capabilities and forcing Washington to rethink the cost of staying in the region. What the Pentagon doesn't want you to know about Iran's Operation Nasr is how systematically it targets the backbone of American power: communications, surveillance, air defense, and logistics nodes, so that even limited strikes can have outsized, cascading effects on the entire US warfighting network. Iran's liquid and solid fuel missiles are now raining down on US forces, combining older, proven systems with newer precision weapons in coordinated salvos that test defenses, exhaust interceptors, and keep troops under constant psychological and physical pressure. In a coordinated revenge strike, Iran has hit key radar sites, damaged or threatened F-15 operations, and killed US troops, sending a grim message that every radar dish, fighter shelter, and barracks in the region could become a target in this expanding confrontation. Phase 2 of Iran's Nasr operation is now underway, and Tehran is drawing on a broad mix of weaponry at its disposal, combining different missile classes and drones to sustain pressure on US targets and complicate American defensive planning. Solid fuel, liquid fuel, and cruise missiles are all being deployed by Iran against American positions, allowing the IRGC to launch rapid response salvos, longer-range strikes, and low-flying, radar-evading attacks in a single coordinated wave. Operation Nasr is essentially a missile and drone campaign focused on US military facilities, aiming to damage command nodes, logistics hubs, aircraft shelters, and support infrastructure rather than just delivering symbolic blows. US infrastructure across the Gulf, including bases and support sites in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar, is being targeted by Tehran, signaling that Iran intends to challenge Washington's entire forward footprint rather than confining its response to a single country. According to Iranian state media outlet Press TV, these strikes are framed as retaliation for sustained US attacks on Iran, with officials portraying the campaign as a measured but escalating response to American pressure. The IRGC has claimed it dealt a crushing blow to the United States by hitting radars and missile defense systems, arguing that by degrading the sensors and shields that protect US forces, it can gradually erode Washington's ability to fight and deter in the region. Bahrain reportedly intercepted and destroyed several Iranian missiles on July 21st, with local media saying the defenses were activated to protect key sites as incoming threats were detected and engaged over the kingdom. Iran, for its part, said it attacked the US-linked Sheikh Isa military base in Bahrain on the morning of July 21st, claiming its missiles and drones struck facilities used by American forces stationed there. Bahrain's defense ministry responded by warning citizens to remain cautious and avoid approaching any strange or suspicious objects, stressing that unexploded debris or remnants from intercepted missiles could pose serious risks if handled. Amid these developments, Jordan announced it would continue closely monitoring its airspace after neutralizing a recent Iranian drone attack, underscoring how regional air defenses remain on high alert. Jordan's military said it intercepted 5 drones on the morning of July 21st, according to an update carried by Al Jazeera and other outlets, adding that the interceptions caused no casualties or damage on the ground. Notably, official casualty data indicate that 427 US service members have been injured in the Iran conflict since February 28, reflecting the cumulative toll of months of missile and drone strikes on American positions. The same tracking system counts 17 US troops killed in hostile and non-hostile incidents during this period, a figure that includes those recently killed in Jordan and Iraq as the confrontation has intensified. Iran has claimed a series of coordinated strikes targeting multiple US military facilities across Jordan and Kuwait. According to the IRGC, a missile strike on the US base in Jordan's Rukban area destroyed a missile defense radar and an F-15 fighter aircraft inside its shelter. Iran also says its drones targeted 3 major US bases in Kuwait during what it calls the 19th phase of Operation Thunderbolt. At Camp Arif Jan, Tehran claims administrative buildings and direction-finding antennas were hit. At Camp Ulu Dairi, Iran says helicopter parking areas used by Apache, Chinook, and Black Hawk aircraft were targeted. Meanwhile, at Ahmed Al-Jaber Air Base, Iran claims it destroyed an early warning radar, a missile defense radar, an FPS-117 long-range radar, a Patriot air defense system, a satellite communication system, and struck barracks housing US troops. These claims have not been independently verified, and there has been no official US confirmation of the reported losses. Iran's foreign ministry issued a stern, public warning directed at President Trump as his administration discussed possible invasion options, portraying Washington's threats as provocative and unlawful. Spokesperson Ismail Baghai told state media that Karg Island residents were prepared to resist and give US troops the reception they deserve, language intended to convey civilian as well as military opposition to any landing. The timing of Tehran's warning came after public comments from President Trump about a potential operation targeting Karg Island, linking diplomatic protest with direct rhetorical pushback.
They will soon see the consequences. I believe there are people in that very region, and they are not few, who are counting down the minutes to give these individuals, American troops, the reception they deserve. We have seen and tested their so-called readiness for diplomacy before. When the United States talks about diplomacy, it actually means dictation, intimidation, threats, and sanctions. Definitely, as long as they are in that position and seek imposing their demands on the Iranian nation, our response will be defending Iran's dignity and national sovereignty. Proposals have been put forward and conveyed to us by the mediators. We have received them, but please excuse me from going into their details. However, the main point that the diplomatic apparatus has been active and that ideas from some mediators have reached us is confirmed. We have asked them, neighboring countries, repeatedly to, in line with their obligations under international law and the principle of good neighborliness, stop America from using their territory and facilities to attack an Islamic country. What we are doing is self-defense, under the natural right to legitimate defense. As long as these crimes and military aggression against Iran continue, our armed forces will continue to respond.
Tehran's statement coincided with media reporting that US planners were reviewing potential ground options in the region, a convergence that heightened diplomatic tensions and public alarm. Leaks and reporting about US contingency plans named Karg Island seizure and precision attacks on Pickaxe Mountain among proposed options, measures that Iranian officials specifically called provocative. On July 14th, the president publicly said he might authorize a ground campaign if it seems appropriate, comments that Tehran seized upon as evidence of imminent threat and used to justify its strong public rebuttals. The president also floated the idea that allied regional partners could take operational responsibility for controlling Karg Island, a suggestion critics say would not eliminate the political and military risks of occupation. Iran's aggressive tone came as the US confirmed 2 service members had been killed in an Iranian missile strike on a US base in Jordan, a fact that deepened the rhetorical and operational friction between the parties. US officials said the fatalities and multiple injuries resulted from an Iranian missile strike on a US position in Jordan, an incident that has driven calls for both restraint and decisive response within Washington. A former Iranian official has claimed the United States is preparing for a possible ground invasion of Iran. Asghar Ibrahimi Azal told Iran International that Washington is building up military infrastructure across the Gulf region. The former deputy oil minister alleged that the U.S. is expanding its military presence in countries, including the United Arab Emirates. He also claimed that foreign mercenaries are being recruited as part of preparations for a potential future operation. Ibrahimi Azal alleged that any ground offensive could target Qeshm Island or other areas along Iran's southern coastline. He also identified Karg Island as another possible objective in any future U.S. military campaign. According to Ibrahimi Asl, Washington could delay any potential ground invasion until cooler weather arrives in September. As the Iran-America war restarts and tensions spike once again, a former Iranian minister has publicly suggested a daredevil military plan, hinting at a dramatic escalation on the battlefield. Manoucha Mottaki has reportedly proposed launching a direct ground assault on a U.S. military base in the Middle East, a move that would mark a bold and risky new phase in Iran's strategy. Mottaki, who now serves as a parliamentarian, has gone further by reportedly saying that Iran must aim to abduct U.S. troops during such an operation, framing this as a way to change the war's dynamics. His explosive comments were reported by the Iran International News outlet on July 15th, instantly igniting debate over whether Tehran might actually attempt such a high-stakes mission. After initially suggesting the abduction of around 100 Americans, Motaki later escalated his rhetoric and called for taking thousands of US personnel, dramatically raising the stakes in his proposed plan. He said, quote, "My proposal is that we launch a ground attack on one of the US bases in the region, capture 100 Americans and bring them to Iran. We should launch a ground attack on US military bases in the region, seize one of them, take thousands of American soldiers prisoner and bring them to Iran. We must begin the ground offensive, something the Americans threatened for a long time but never dared to carry out," unquote.